boobs or bombs?
Yes.
The ever-present question. At least for those of us living at the edge of the gender binary. Back in the early days of my transition, I recall being at the airport for a short flight. I didn't look as feminine back then, so as we all lined up to pass through the millimeter wave machines and stand like rag dolls for the machine, the man pushing the buttons at the security console had a bit of a dilemma. See, his job, all day, every day, is to look at people in line and decide whether to push pink or blue, boy or girl. And at that time, I looked something in the middle. So he was sweating, but he's a professional, right? So he hatches a plan. As I walk up, he decides to ask me smoothly,
What's your name?
Morgan.
Morgan to you too, but what's your first name?
Morgan, my name's Morgan. And he's thinking,
Shit, the name goes both ways.
he's sizing me up, trying to put me into one of those two binary boxes before he finally just gives up the pretense altogether. Look, I have to push one button, pink or blue. Which one should I push? And I'm like, I don't know, whichever is easier. This is your decision. At the end of the machine, someone is gonna pat you down. Do you want the woman patting you down or the man? I don't know. At this point in my transition, this is uncharted territory for me. I eventually just say, send me to the man. Send me to the man for pat down. The professional gender checker is happy that some decision is taken and pushes blue. I walk then to through the millimeter wave machine and do the ragdoll for it. The man on the other end though, looks at me and he takes a look at his colleague and he says, you sent me the wrong guy. You sent me the wrong person. They go back and forth for a while, and I'm just trying to, smooth out this very awkward situation, like, it's fine, just put your hands all over my body already. In all seriousness though, there's a reason why those machines make you push a button. They're looking for shapes that shouldn't be there. So on the security monitor, for my scan, are two round blobs of question. Are they boobs? Or are they bombs? The security guard takes his job very seriously, I'm sure. So he can probably imagine the headlines on the German news media if he doesn't do his job right today. Lufthansa flight explodes due to security agents at the airport being, quote, too afraid to touch a boob. So, in order to save countless lives, he steels himself for this ordeal. He stiffens his body as he heroically reaches out to touch my breasts in order to determine their authenticity. He gives a thumbs up. These days, though, people don't even question my gender. They just take me to be a woman. The professional gender checkers at the airport now always push pink. And then the millimeter wave machines have a different question to ask. Bomb or dick? Let's just say that airports are always pretty uncomfortable for those of us living at the edge of the gender binary. Who gets to determine your gender anyway? Who determines mine? The man at the entrance who opened the door for me saying, ladies first? Or maybe it's my colleagues who, after more than a year of working together, still call me he and him, even though I look and talk like this. Maybe it's my sister, the person who's known me longest in this world, who tells me I am, quote, lying to society for dressing this way. Maybe it's my government, who, based off of a puny letter in my passport, M or F or X, can make that decision. Maybe it's my own internal sense of gender, a kind of spiritual belonging to one category or another. Those would all be good guesses, but they'd be wrong. Tonight, ladies, gentlemen, and others, I tell you who really has authority to determine your gender in society. My bank teller
Nice.
See, a few weeks ago, I was at my bank. I was traveling pretty soon, and I needed to withdraw quite a bit of cash. So I walk into this little countryside bank, which only has 6 branches. I walk into the closest branch to myself, and I ask them if I can withdraw the cash. The bank teller says, "Sure, no problem. I will need some ID." I hand her over my passport and my blue card. She takes a look, and she says, "There is something wrong here. You are a woman. This passport belongs to a man." I burst out laughing, like, "Thank you for affirming my gender, but yeah, that's really me. I used to really look like that." And I fill out 5 additional forms of identification, 3 of which have recent photos of me. And at this point, I find it hilarious that she thinks that I might actually be my sister impersonating myself. So I pull photos from my phone to show her the gradual timeline of my transition before remembering, oh yeah, that's right, I have 2 doctor's notes inside of my bag that explain I am trans. I even show her the estrogen pills that I take daily. Convincing evidence. Oh, she's not so easily fooled. She knows that this is not enough to disprove that I could be my sister, the imposter, who's been living as me for years, medically transitioning and also the same person on my passport. I mean, I guess this must have quite the imagination. So she's on the phone with talking to HQ, trying to figure out what to do about this trans question. So I sit down and I wait for half an hour, then a full hour, and finally I reach out to the other staff of the bank, asking them what's going on. I've been at this I've been at this bank for 7 years. This is my money. Why can't I access it? But the bank staff tells me that there is no manager on site. There's no hotline to call. There's no email address to follow up with. There's only Frau. Okay. She approaches eventually, explaining her grand solution to my troubles. "You are a woman," she tells me. "You must come back with an F on your passport if you want to access the account." Right. Does she realize that that process takes months? Does she realize it costs money? Does she know that I actually identify as non-binary? Would she accept an X on my passport? So I tell her, the reason you're preventing me from accessing my money is that I grew my hair out long, I'm wearing a skirt, and I penciled in my eyebrows. Give me an hour, I'll come back to work, I'll borrow some clothes from a colleague, I'll wash this makeup off my face, and I'll come here in a suit. No, she tells me, you are a woman, whether you'll change your clothes or not. Oh. Like, I appreciate she recognizes that I can have an internal sense of gender different with how I present. But damn, I just need my money. At this point, I realize we're not going to get any further with this. So I ask her to write up an email explaining our interactions so far, explaining why these 7 forms of identification, together with doctor's notes, are not enough to give me access to my account, so I can follow up with the higher-ups of the bank. And at the mention of putting this in writing, she turns white. I mean, she was already white. It's a tiny But she loses the color from her face. She's like, I will not do that. Yeah, interesting. She realizes she might have done a little itty-bitty case of the, discrimination. Ooh, spicy. So the next half hour, she's doing damage control. She's calling back and forth to the HQ, and she hashes a plan. She says, she asks if I can verify that I know my PIN number. She then calls the phone number on record, and what do you know? Duh, the phone in my hand rings. So finally she says, okay, we can get you your money today. Only if you ever come back, you must have an F on your passport. Like, that's not really good enough though. We'll serve you today, but we refuse to serve you tomorrow because we know better than your government what your real gender is. That really didn't sit right with me. I get my money in the end. After 2 hours at the bank, I walk away shaken. Like, they can just do that? Yes, they can. Because it turns out that it isn't my government that determines my gender, nor your government. It isn't my passport, it isn't my own internal sense of gender that determines my gender in society. It's Frau